surprising to us all. It's been a long time. I trust we're doing well. So let's talk about our awakening journey so far. Because one thing about being a Christian is that, there's this verse in the Bible that talks of the fact that the way to salvation is very narrow and that the distraction is very broad. And in a way, I think it's right to some extent. I just feel they took the real meaning out of the scripture, because with Christianity and church, the path is only one, whether you believe it or not. For as long as you've been born into it, it's conditioned on your mind that that's the only thing you have to believe, And usually you just have one shepherd or the pastor, whoever is the head, and all he has is the Bible to brainwash you. On the other hand, when you awaken, and this time you are on the broad road actually, because you don't have just one teacher, you don't have just one path on it. There are several paths on it, and now you become the master architect in trying to navigate your own life through this path while meeting various different people, inculcating different doctrines into you. I remember when I first became awakened, one of the teachings I became mesmerized with was the fact that we were the ancient Egyptians and life began from Egypt, civilization, everything from Egypt. I've even seen documents where people have tried to link particularly the Akan culture to ancient Kemet, like they were the first people who lived there. I've seen documents showing that South Africans were the first human. It's like for every part of the black culture you get into or you try to learn into, people are trying to associate themselves with ancient Kemet. And at the end of the day, I'm asking myself, how many people really lived in ancient Egypt? Did all Africans just come in at once, like 100 people, and then they grew up from Egypt, they started having children, and then separation began? Creation story is one thing that really fascinates me, because you may hear a story from one place and you think, I've heard it all. That is it. It makes sense. The next moment, you hear another story, it's like, this one also makes sense. And that is why sometimes it really gets very difficult on the spiritual journey, because it's so broad. And there are different people with different doctrines always trying to prove one thing or the other. And sometimes you don't even know which one doctrines rely on. Come across people who are vegans and they feel their doctrine is the right one. It's animal abuse to kill animals and eat. But on the other hand, yeah, equally cutting up plants and eating them, cooking them even, is that also torture to the memory of the plant? You come across people. I remember I came across one priest and was a Breitarian. Yeah, I didn't even know what that was. When I was with him, I was able to do it for the days that I was there. But when I returned home, I realized it wasn't just for me, and it wasn't something I could cope with on a long run. Maybe once in a while, I just do it. You come across people with different things. I've come across people who gave me taboos on a particular day, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's it. I can deal with it. And after a while, it feels like, why am I even stressing myself to do this? Okay. Yeah, this is not to say you will not find any truth or right way on a broad path. But like I said, unlike church where the mandate was solely on one person to show you the way. And if you as an individual are faulted, then now you're asking for forgiveness of sins because you want to fall back into the way of this one person. That's the imaginary character they gave us of Jesus Christ. On a broad path, there's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. There are only people of their own spiritual essence who have carved what is right and wrong for them. So in one culture, you go and then maybe eating goods is normal on any particular day. In another culture, you go and that same goat that's a delicacy in one place is a taboo on some particular days. So it's up to you to decide what works for you and where you want to belong to. And I always say that we are unfortunate in this spiritual awakening, because unlike the olden days where you are born into the family and so all your life you are groomed in those traditions and cultures, and you wouldn't have to go out wondering which one is right or wrong. So for me, cultures are basically religious in nature, because like Christianity, we are born into it, we are told if you don't believe in Jesus, it's sin and equal to death, so that's what you grew up in all your life. The same way in our cultures, they tell you, well, maybe if you go farming on this day, if you do this and that on that day, it's equally an offense against our spirits. We didn't have it that way. we grew up far away from our indigenous cultures. I mean, our parents, our grandparents, for so many generations were in church. They were not so much in tune with the culture itself. So when you awaken, you try to go home. I remember for me when I awakened, my first institution was like, go home, bond with the family, learn. And it actually gave me a shock when I went to it, because I realized, in as much as my family was the home of a traditional school, there wasn't really anything there to learn from, and some of the family members themselves were equally discouraging me. We are Christians, that's why the school we came to meet it just has to be there, but we have to go to church. And then that even breaks you down further. I've come across a lot of people, even including myself, because our parents largely grew up in Christianity. When you awaken, you become like the black sheep in the family, and sometimes it really becomes very difficult relating to the family. You can't even attend normal family meetings with them. So they're asking unnecessary questions here and there. So, like I said from the beginning, it's a very broad way, and you have to learn to navigate your way throughout. On so many occasions, the universe will lead you, or sometimes based on the kind of vibrations you are having at the moment, the universe is going to lead you to certain people. It may be for soul lessons, you learn them, and after a while you feel like, I'm done, I really need to be out of here. Then you can move on, you meet other people, you learn other things. The journey never ends till you die, and I believe we all need a sound mind, because honestly sometimes it can get difficult, it can get depressing, because you realize that the higher you go, the more people you lose, not because you are bad, not because the people are bad, but you realize that whatever vibration you are in now doesn't support the friendship, doesn't support the kind of relationships you are with now. It could be intimate relationships, family, sometimes even friends. And the best thing you can do for yourself and whoever is involved in that relationship is to sever ties. And as much as it's difficult and often leaves people lonely spiritually, for your well-being is the best thing you have to do. So I urge you, one thing I've learned so far throughout the journey is to be very patient, because when I started my journey, I was very aggressive with a whole lot of things, like, yeah, now I know, and I'm going to prove it to everyone, and I expect people to prove themselves to me to a full 100 degrees. I want every detail to be spelled out. But right now I'm like, well, it looks like by the time you finish with one truth, another one presents itself, and now you always have to be weaving your way through one truth after the other, which equally can leave you very frustrated. So through it all, I've learned peace, I've learned to be calm in everything, because I was reading something on collective karma. I'm going to share with us in my next video. That we didn't just arrive here, so many things happening to bring us here. And all we can do at this moment is appreciate the journey, be peaceful with ourselves as we learn to vibrate higher, and trust that the universe in its right timing is going to make all things beautiful for us. Peace and blessings in our endeavors.